I remember first watching Wolf Children in my senior year of high school during 2013. Like many teenagers, I was awkward, socially inept, and just trying to fit in with the people around me. Besides going to school or studying for tests, I didn't really have a grasp of what life was meant to be outside of academics. I'd always thought that my life ahead of me would be paved out by someone or something other than myself. I had never really considered who I was, what I was trying to be, or let alone what I wanted to do in life. The idea of it all was just so new and alien to me. It's been 7 years since then. I'd like to think that I've grown as a person since my teenage years and became much more introspective of not only about myself, but everyday life. Mamoru Hosoda's Wolf Children was one of the first pieces of fiction to truly shape my outlook on life after having experienced it. For many years, it stood as my favorite film of all time, only recently surpassed by another life-changing film, Naoko Yamada's A Silent Voice. Nevertheless, Wolf Children still holds a special place for me and was equally important in shaping who I am today. And hopefully, by the end of this, I can get you to understand what makes Wolf Children such a masterpiece. On the surface, Wolf Children is about a single mother named Hana who moves to the countryside in order to raise her two wolf children, Ame and Yuki. That's it. There's no dramatic tension or end-of-world scenario, it just follows these three characters and how they grow and experience everyday life. Sure, it's got its emotional and heartwarming moments, but what makes this film so special to me is how Hosoda was able to integrate themes of humanity's relationship with nature, family, parenthood, and self-identity so effortlessly into his story. But it's not just the ideas Hosoda presents in his film, it's how these core messages were able to make me deeply reflect and shape who I am today and my perspective on life. That might seem like an over-exaggeration, but it's true. Yuki's struggle with her own self-identity throughout the film was so profoundly impactful to myself that it made me look inwards towards my own identity at the time and who I was and wanted to be. Hana's growth as a mother and the difficulties of raising children made me appreciate just how caring my own mum was and how strong she had to be with raising 3 kids by herself since my dad worked overseas. Combine this with Hosoda's beautiful visual storytelling and how he's capable of conveying profound ideas so subtly, it's no wonder why I would love Wolf Children so much. Even before delving into the actual ideas of the film itself, there's so much to appreciate behind how Hosoda was able to name the 3 main characters. Each of the characters' names are reflections of how they are personified in nature. Hana, meaning flower in Japanese, reflects the compassionate, resilient nature she has, while also being symbolic of a place to call home. Her father named her after a cosmos flower bloomed in the backyard on the day she was born, as he always wanted her to smile and remain strong through tragic days. Ame and Yuki, on the other hand, are both named after the weather they were born in. Yuki's association with snow is the most obvious as she shares the uplifting and playful moment in the snow chase in the film, reflecting her joyful and excited nature as a child. Ame's connection with rain, however, takes on a more heavy-handed meaning as it's first connected with the death and tragedy of his father, but it's also symbolic of new beginnings or the next chapter in life. It's this level of detail interwoven within its narrative that makes Wolf Children not only an emotional watch, but an engaging one. One of the prominent themes present throughout the entire film is humanity's relationship with nature and how they are unable to fully integrate with each other. Ame and Yuki have a special connection with nature in that they themselves are descendants of half-wolves. As the two slowly grow up, they struggle to find their place in the world and balancing the two opposing sides of who they are. Yuki at first embraces her wolfish tendencies, always running around and curious about the environment surrounding her, while Ame is much more timid about turning into a wolf since they're always seen as the villains in children's stories. The two siblings are always representing different sides of who they are, and their dynamic is later flipped to juxtapose the rising societal pressures each character experiences. Throughout the course of the film, there's an inherent inability to keep nature in the confines of civilized society. This is first noticed when Hana decides to move into the countryside as she couldn't keep her children from turning into wolves and making a mess in her apartment. Yuki would always cause a ruckus whenever she was mad or excited, subconsciously turning into a wolf because it just felt natural for her. This idea is also especially present in Ame's character arc. Later in the film, Ame meets a wolf held in a nature preserve and later asks if his dad was like that. Hana says no, and Ame is glad to hear that his father wasn't the same because he could sense that there was a certain sadness coming from the captive wolf. The scene is particularly striking as the wolf essentially represents how nature, being captive in a human society surrounded by bland, concrete walls, was slowly dying as if it were suffocating. Sometimes you just have to let nature take its course. Nature is dangerous, unpredictable, but it also can be breathtakingly beautiful at times. For nature to be controlled and aligned with human society, it strips away the fundamental aspect of what made it so beautiful in the first place.
これからどうしたい？人間か狼か引っ越そうと思うんだ。どちらでも選べるように。
Self-identity plays a major role within the film and has a lot to say of who we are as people and how we grow up. Yuki's storyline in particular was the most impactful to me personally, as I could really empathize and understand the difficulties she faced with her own identity. In her early childhood, Yuki was always boisterous and playful to basically anyone and anything. She absolutely adored and embraced her wolf side so much that it was hard for her to hide it from other people. However, as she got older and entered school, she became more self-conscious about who she was, as the other girls in her class were more feminine and didn't play with snakes or have animal bones as treasures. Growing up, I'm sure all of us at some point in our lives have experienced the growing pressures to become normal either by society or the people around. You start to become self-conscious about yourself, constantly thinking, I hope I'm not made fun of by my friends, when in reality, it shouldn't even matter. Yet, when we were younger, we instilled so much power to the people around us, craving their validation as if it were a measure of success. Of course, as we got older, we learned how wrong we were to believe in this, as embracing and having a sense of individuality was what made you your own person. It shouldn't matter what other people think about you. They don't share your life experiences, nor do they truly understand who you are as a person. What matters is that you should be comfortable with just being yourself, and that's something no one can take away. If you try to fall in line with the pressures of society, you risk of slowly becoming a person you hate, losing agency, and becoming disingenuous to not only the people around you, but more importantly, yourself. The moment where Yuki cries in the car after she realizes she may have gotten kicked out of school is personally the most heartbreaking moment in the entire film for me. It's an emotionally cathartic moment with Hana unable to help her daughter with her problems except for being as supportive as she can. This is something Yuki has to deal with on her own, as she must come to terms with both sides of who she is. Accepting the fact that you can't erase who you truly are, but being content with it nonetheless, is the first step of self-respect. The scene is very much emotional, but it's also layered with thematic meaning, as if being a direct parallel to the captive wolf. While Yuki may suppress her animalistic side, she has an intrinsic connection with nature itself. So, as she cries in the car being in this small, confined, and restricted place, it directly resembles the captive wolf in the nature preserve. While it's possible for humanity and nature to coexist, thematically, Hosoda implies that humanity and nature can never fully meld together, as nature in itself cannot be controlled. For it to remain beautiful and not wither away, nature must not be suppressed, but instead set free. Ame's storyline, on the other hand, is a little different, but it's still a direct conflict with Yuki's. He at first doesn't want to be a wolf because they're always sought out and killed in stories, but Hana reassures him that she loves them all the same. Ame undergoes a life-changing experience when he nearly drowns in the river, and this was the catalyst that really changed his perception of becoming a wolf as he slowly garners an interest with nature. As mentioned earlier, flowers in the film represent a variety of things, one of which being a sense of homeliness. During Ame's training session with Sensei in the mountains, they run across a field of bright and colorful flowers, which is a great piece of subtle foreshadowing behind Ame's place in the world. He feels most at home when he's out with nature, not stuck in school or confined by society, but the wilderness is where he truly belongs. And by the finale of the film, he chooses to be a part of something bigger than himself, being a guardian of the forest and protecting all the wildlife within it.
雪も雨も自分の道を歩き始めてる。望んでいたことのはずなのに、どうしてこんなに不安なんだろう。ねえ、どうして？
Hana is such an amazingly strong person, and her perseverance through difficult times is inspiring. After losing her husband, Hana promises to raise her children as best she can by giving them the freedom to choose who they want to be. At first, she gets pressured from society to raise her children normally when she gets harassed by caseworkers or getting suspicious looks from the people around her. Life in the city can be suffocating, and Hana knows there isn't the freedom for kids to be who they want to be. For most of her life, when Hana didn't know how to do something, she would always read up about it, whether it was pregnancy, raising wolves, or learning how to farm. Though no matter how much knowledge Hana read up on, she was lacking first-hand experience, but that never stopped her from giving her children the love and care they needed. After clearing out a field for crops, Hana says she only needs enough food for herself and her kids. She's ignorant to the fact that living surrounded by nature is difficult, especially to a city girl, and doesn't understand that everyone in the community needs to help each other in order to live a much better life. Hana had always sheltered her kids from outsiders, assuming the worst would happen if people found out they were wolf children. But it's only through the care and help from the people in the village does Hana truly understand what it means to live with nature. The film reaches a high point when winter finally arrives. Ame and Yuki, for the first time in their lives, are free to roam around in their wolf forms as Hana shares their magical experience together, culminating in all three of them howling with joy. Hosoda's stunning camera work and paired with the joyous soundtrack personally makes this scene one of the most uplifting moments in the medium of anime. It's such a heartwarming and wholesome experience that you really get to share with the family. Motherhood can be undeniably difficult at times, but it's moments like these where you truly get to appreciate the miraculous nature of having a loving family and sharing both the joyous and tragic experiences together. You try to raise your kids well so that one day they can hopefully become better people, yet after everything's all said and done, they'll have to leave the nest eventually, and that's a hard lesson that Hana has to come to terms with. The only time the sound of rain is played alone is during the loss of Hana's husband. So when it's played a second time during her conversation with Ame, Hana is afraid of losing another person she loves. She's afraid of letting her son go. Despite wanting the freedom for her children to choose who they become, Hana can't help the fact that she still thinks of Ame as a child who needs her protection. Hana feels that she hasn't done enough to protect her children from the outside world, and so feels as if she failed to raise Ame properly. But when she ventures up the mountain to save her son, it's not Ame who needs saving, it's her. Hana was too afraid to let Ame go, yet when she sees him sprint up the mountain and howl triumphantly, she finally understood how grown up he actually was. Try as you might, no matter how hard you pave the road for your children, you can never really know where they will end up in life, and that's okay. Sometimes they journey too far off lands that you can never truly understand, and other times they're a lot closer to you than you actually think. But the important thing is to always support them no matter what, and that's what parenthood will ultimately take you to. It's okay to feel proud, scared, or whatever emotions you might be feeling. Just know that you tried your best, and that's all you really can do.
お母さんは狼が好きよ。みんなが狼を嫌っても、お母さんだけは狼の味方だから。
Wolf Children still remains one of the best anime films out there and is a testament of how powerful films can truly shape who we are. Without it, I wouldn't be as introspective as I am today, and I definitely wouldn't appreciate just how hard raising children was for my mom. I think Mamoru Hosoda himself summarizes it best. Before I made the film, I just thought that the idea of parents having and raising children was a natural thing. It was just something that parents had to do. I paid no mind to it because that's just how it was. But when I made the film, it was about Hana and the 13 years of raising children that really made me aware that to have children and raise children was not something that just happened. It's almost a miracle, and there's so much put into it. When I think about that, I realize that I was really lucky that my parents put an effort into my bringing me up. So yes, I would like to say that it was my parents that helped me to get where I am now. Hey there everyone, didn't expect me back so soon now, did you? I did tell you I was going to try and fix my upload schedule. Well, in any case, if you enjoyed that video, be sure to subscribe for more future uploads and share it around, it would really help me a lot. I think I'm going to start having small unscripted sessions like these just at the end for additional thoughts and whatnot. And since I don't have anything to shill for today, thanks for watching and I'll see you all in the next one.